Everybody, it's Frankie-Lou. I'm coming to you today from our greenhouse in the sky here in Golden, BC, where we've almost just completed the build on our 4-season geothermal greenhouse. And I just wanted to give you a little garden tour, let you know what's going on here, and give you an update on how well things are growing here. So first off, we got lots of pollinators. You can see a butterfly flowing around in here. One thing which brings up one of the points that we have here is that we are trying really hard to keep things as natural as possible. We are using a lot of permaculture principles in here, including companion planting to deal with pest control. And I personally haven't had to do any pollinating myself because we do leave these large garage doors open on either side during much of the day in the heat to allow pollinators to come in and out. And I can tell you I've had far less problems with things like aphids in here than I have had with the little solar roller, the little portable educational greenhouse I work with, because it is a larger environment that has been sustaining some nice healthy populations of beneficial insects as well. So believe it or not, we only started planting in here about 6 weeks ago. I find that hard to believe myself when I look around here because I've never seen growth like this so quickly. Yes, many of the things that we did plant were seedlings that I started in milk jugs, but a lot of these things were started from seeds 6 weeks ago, and I'll show you some of these items in a minute. Even some of these squash, which are now growing like crazy. And we have been doing quite a bit of harvesting. We've been eating lettuce out of here for a couple of weeks now, and now we're starting to work in on the squash, tons of herbs. Everything is thriving in here. There are lots of reasons for the things to be thriving in here. Everything in here is getting lots of love, and I do believe that there's so much good energy in here. I know it sounds flaky, but I do believe that this good energy that we're putting in here is helping. The other things that are maybe a little more scientific, the soil is rich in minerals because it is mountain soil, but then on top of that we added compost and we tried to build the biodiversity of the soil up before we put it in these beds, and I believe that that has made a huge difference. We also are feeding this from well water, so nice fresh spring water, and I believe that's making a difference. But I think the number one difference that I'm seeing is the consistent temperatures. The fact that we have it hooked up to a geothermal system that maintains a very consistent temperature in here. Even at night, the air pumping up from down below is 15 degrees if it gets cold here. So we find that this has been maintaining very nice temperatures. And compared to what I'm used to in the Chinook zone in Alberta, where the temperatures are so darn erratic, I can see dramatically the difference that goes on here because everything is just thriving like crazy. And we've also managed to maintain a pretty good humidity. At first I thought it was too dry, but at first our readings were a little bit low, but we're finding that everything is doing really well. We're not seeing anything drying up too quickly, and we're able to keep the watering schedule up pretty good. I'll take you through a few of the beds though, so I can show you some of the amazing stuff that's going on here. Okay, so as you can see, everything is planted up with lots of different companion plants. This is our hardy greens bed where we planted a lot of brassicas, and we planted a lot of the relatives of amaranth, and also the relatives of Swiss chard. As you can see, I've got my sunflowers growing up in here as well. Lots of sunflowers are going to come from the middle, and I've put some calendula, cornflower. We've got beets and carrots on the ends. This is already supplying a lot of food to us. We were eating a lot of the mustards out of here last night. Over here, you can see one of our squash beds is doing really well. We're doing in the traditional Three Sisters method, companion planting, where we've got the corn coming up, beans and peas coming up along the corn, and all sorts of different squash. These squash here were not seedlings. I planted these as seeds, and these were planted as seeds only 4 weeks ago, not 6 weeks ago. The potato bed and the main bed were planted 6 weeks ago. This was planted 4 weeks ago, and I just can't believe the growth we're seeing out of here. This one is my favorite though. This plant, this seedling of this amazing one you see here was planted 6 weeks ago. And we are already getting some really good sized spaghetti squash off of this. I'm really loving the vertical growth here. It's giving the plant lots of opportunities to get air, and it's producing tons of fruit for us. My herb beds, I cannot believe Like this was a tiny little seedling 6 weeks ago, and it's just doing, oops, I got a little bit of weed amaranth here. Got to take that out, but that we could eat that if we wanted to. But all of my herbs are doing so well. My lemon thyme, even the herbs that can sometimes be a little bit tricky are just thriving in here. My tomatoes are just about to start flowering. This is just the first set of tomatoes we're putting in. We're going to do lots of experiments with tomatoes here. My cukes are coming up nicely. This is a seedling cuke that I put in, but there are a whole bunch of little ones that I started from seeds 4 weeks ago, and they're coming up nicely too. So we're eating lots of zucchini already. Look at this catnip. I gotta keep Boo out of here because she finds it so fast. She comes right for that. My lettuce mulch, you can see, is beautiful. I've already done 2 thinnings off of this, and it's doing really well. And there's another one of our very successful spaghetti squash. I'm really happy, as you can see here. This was a seedling of nasturtiums that I planted 6 weeks ago. Well, right next to it is a seed, one that's a seed, and it's coming on nicely too. So, yeah, I do believe having that. Having that consistent temperature. I've always known that this was a huge factor because I've lived for so long in Alberta, where the temperatures are so erratic. I knew it had an effect on plant growth, but this proves to me how much difference, what a big difference it can make when you do keep things in a consistent temperature. So yeah, still lots of planting going on. You can see I got my crazy milk jugs going there. I still do plant with the milk jugs even in these ideal conditions, because I find that the seedlings do better when you have that little mini greenhouse inside, even the big greenhouse. And these, I'm hoping I can find some time to get back up here and get them in the ground within the next few days, because I know that they're going to be producing. But I know that we can get some really good stuff going with those. Yeah, so please, if you do have any questions, we will be giving more tours soon on what's going on in terms of how we built this build. But we are still sort of in a little bit of the construction. As you can see, it's not quite tidied up, and we want to have it looking just right. So before we start sharing all the wonderful details with you about how it's working and how this geothermal design was developed. Oh, one other thing I wanted to show you that is kind of cool. If you look up there, that is where we're gravity feeding our water down. And yes, I do think the water that we have here is so wonderful, and this is one of the reasons why everything's doing well. So just like human babies, things do better when they're fed well and watered well and have consistency, I guess, huh? So that applies to plants as well as our kids. So there you go. Please do ask questions. I'm so looking forward to sharing more of what's going on here in the greenhouse in the sky. And as always, I hope you'll take this chance to grow together today. Have a good one.